Hello and good morning, everyone. It is a wonderful Thursday morning. It's the 19th of March, and I hope that everyone is having already a beautiful and warm and fuzzy Thursday. I know those of you in Malaysia are kind of still in, well, not still, it's just only the third day of lockdown. So I hope that everyone can kind of gain something from today's podcast. Those of you in all the parts of the world, I know that the coronavirus is getting pretty bad over, in all the different parts. I know that even in America, some cities are in some type of lockdown or will be going into a lockdown soon too. So I really hope that this podcast can kind of soothe your soul and just kind of give you some things to think about while you're in this time. Just a shout out to all the people supporting. I am just very grateful that there's such a big response, good feedback, and I thank you so much that you guys are subscribing and listening in. I'm not just this. The Morning Star Drive 117.8 is not just on SoundCloud and YouTube, but now we're on Patreon. So if you want to support, come help us on there too. Today is Thursday, second day of lockdown in Malaysia. Having a great time, just making these podcasts and trying to edify people's lives. What we do usually in the beginning, we're going to just going to have some upbeat music to get ourselves going for the morning. Usually I am kind of highlighting a new artist. And today I want to highlight an artist from the Houston Eagle Church. All the way in Houston. Her name is Mariah. Okay? Mariah. The song we're going to highlight today is a song called Universe. And I'm going to kind of just give you a backstory to how this song was actually made. Well, and also another thing for those of you who don't know Mariah, her brother is Mike Jr., which is one of the Sumney boys. Yes, their family is very, very talented. So here's a story behind the song of Universe. Now, it was made by the songs and the lyrics, and the song is sung by Mariah, and the beats were made by Cece, and they're both at the same church in Houston. So what happened was one day, Cece and Mariah were just kind of casually having a conversation about music, and Mariah kind of mentioned that, I got these lyrics written out, but man, I don't have any beats to fully create a whole song. And a few days later, Cece sends a beat, right? Sends a beat she's been working on. And the moment Mariah heard those beats, she's like, the inspiration came. I've got to put my lyrics onto this beat. After the song was made, they revealed, or they had a premiere of the song on January 15th, which all of us know as the last day of giving glory to God, right? January 15th. And on that day, also Cece testified about why she makes beats. She said that making beats and creating these beats is something she does to kind of just relieve the stress of daily life. And she said that the thing she realized the most from this creation process of making beats was not to forget the value of herself, her story, and of God's love towards her. For Mariah, the inspiration of where these lyrics came from is actually from just one sentence that came from the Wednesday message, and that sentence was, "Since we as brides have the Lord in the rapture, it's as if we have the whole universe." Wow, right? And for Mariah, is that it was just so beautiful, that one sentence, that this sentence could be made into a song. So she made one. So now everything's been adjusted to the beat. This final product is out for all of us to be heard today. And this song, what's it about? It's about the most valuable being that belongs, the most valuable being belongs to God's brides, and how we belong to him. So everyone listen up carefully. We're going to listen to the song Universe by Cece and Mariah.
When I look at you, it's like I got the whole room on the tip of my finger, and I'm pointing it right back to you. When I look at you, it's like I got the whole universe, the whole universe. Never thought that living could be easy, so you taught me right from wrong. Now I'm free to be full of love, full of hope. I'm empty of all things. I'm living to make everyone come follow me. This is a life worth living that I know. If I love someone else, what would he give me though? It's like I'm floating on clouds, my feet don't touch the ground. Life with you is like heaven, look at what I found. You said believe in me, don't change, and then you'll see a best, I'll step to the west, I'll follow behind you step by step. Just like the stars above, we shining, shining. Look at the world, in my hands the universe is my name. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. Just like the stars above, we shining, shining. Look at the world, in my hands the universe is my name. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. When I look at you, it's like I got the whole room on the tip of my finger, and I'm pointing it right back to you. When I look at you, it's like I got the whole universe, the whole universe. You said believe in me, don't change, and then you'll see a life that lasts for all eternity. That will never live to have any regrets. I know you're the best, I'll step to the west, I'll follow behind you step by step. Just like the stars above, we shining, shining. Look at the world, in my hands the universe is my name. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. Just like the stars above, we shining, shining. Look at the world, in my hands the universe is my name. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. It's yours, can't escape from the love, it's yours. When I look at you, it's like I got the whole room on the tip of my finger, and I'm pointing it right back to you. When I look at you, it's like I got the whole universe, 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 the whole universe.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We shot Kobe in our prime. Jordan Pippen do time. We breaking records all the time. Pass the rocket, I'ma fly. Yeah, I'm turning to a legend. Yeah, I'm turning Super Saiyan. Yeah, I'm honest with saying. Yeah, I'm honest with saying. I am a legend. Rise to the legends. I am a legend. We are the legends. I am a legend. I am a legend. We are the legends. Rise to the legends. I wanna be a legend, singing to the heavens. Living in the golden city, standing in his presence. Climbing and raising the level to satisfy him. Expectations are so high, you know that we gon' win. The title don't mean nothing if you do nothing. Every time we hit the focus, yeah, we killing something. In the golden city, yeah, we party every day. To be a legend, just do well and just prepare the way. Some in life in my brain, some in life in my veins. When people live to the destiny, that's the greatest joy I own, man. I feel like Kobe, 81, do everything, focus on the one. Sunny boys, trying to be those ones. We got the answers, no, I'm the son. We shocking Kobe in our prime. Jordan Pippen do time. We breaking records all the time. Pass the rocket, I'ma fly. Yeah, I'm turning to a legend. Yeah, I'm turning Super Saiyan. Yeah, I'm honest with saying. Yeah, I'm honest with saying. I am a legend. Rise to the legends. I am a legend. We are the legends. I am a legend. I am a legend. We are the legends. Rise to the legends.
Oh, slow it down, slow it down. People need explanation right now. Just leave a message I can answer right now. Just look at all the things we done, like heroes get remembered, legends never die. I just put to work whatever comes to mind. Getting older, but I swear it's lit all the time. Yeah, we brought a whole crew up, pipe it up. Yeah, we always showing new stuff, live it up. Turtle ship, oh yeah, you don't know what's up. Hit the folks, yeah, we coming up. Write our names in the books, cause we catching up. Rise to the legends, 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 rise to the legends.
We are the legends. We shocking Kobe in our prime. Jordan Pippen do time. We breaking records all the time. Pass the rocket, I'ma fly. Yeah, I'm turning to a legend. Yeah, I'm turning Super Saiyan. Yeah, I'm honest legend. I am a legend. We are the legends. Rise of the legends. We shot your Kobe in our prime. Jordan Pippen through time. We breaking records all the time. Pass the rock and I'ma fly. Yeah, I'm turning to a legend. Yeah, I'm turning Super Saiyan. Yeah, I'm honest what's saying. Yeah, I'm honest what's saying. I am a legend. Rise of the legends. I am a legend. We are the legends. I am a legend. I am a legend. We are the legends. Rise of the legends. We shot your Kobe in our prime. Jordan Pippen through time. We breaking records all the time. Pass the rock and I'ma fly. Yeah, I'm turning to a legend. Yeah, I'm turning Super Saiyan. Yeah, I'm honest what's saying. Yeah, I'm honest what's saying. I am a legend. Rise of the legends. I am a legend. We are the legends. I am a legend. I am a legend. We are the legends. Rise of the legends.
And there you go. You have Mariah and Cece with the song Universe. And of course, you have the Somni Boys with Rise of a Legend. All right. So we're kicking it deep into this lockdown right now. And of course, the number one thing on everyone's mind is what? It is the coronavirus. It's COVID-19. And of course, everyone is just kind of freaking out. And, I would say I'll say they're still freaking out for sure. Right, they're freaking out. Now, how would I know they're freaking out? Like, what happened was yesterday, Malaysia closed the borders. Right, they closed the borders, so the neighboring country, Singapore, is they're closing the borders to Singapore too. So what happened is, today's the first day of lockdown, but yesterday, which was Tuesday, was the last day that people had kind of their freedom, and the people that are living in Malaysia but working in Singapore, they rushed to Malaysia, grabbed their stuff, and they all went to flood back into Singapore. But man, if you look at the pictures, if you look at man, I wish I had a picture on me right now, but it is crazy. It's almost like the apocalypse, right? It's like people are like gonna die or something, and that border is just so packed. And even it's kind of weird because even yesterday they were saying that in order for you to go to another state, you'd have to get a permit to drive into another state. And they're going to close the borders of each state. And just the lineups at the police station, people wanting to get a permit, just ridiculous out the door, to the point the government said no more permits necessary. So can you imagine if you were the person waiting in line for like 2-3 hours, you finally get your permit, and then later they say, oh, you don't need a permit anymore. Like, how crazy is that situation? But just to let you guys know, is like right now, even yesterday for Malaysia, it's like a new 117 more, 120 more cases. Just the world total is over 200,000 at the moment, with over 8,200 deaths. Once again, Italy is at the top with 3,500 new infections. Spain's got 2,300. Germany almost 2,000 more. America was, America was advising people to not be in groups of 50 or more, just to, we talked about it yesterday about flattening that curve and just kind of having social distancing. But what's crazy is now, because it's getting out of hand, now the number has been reduced to 10. You cannot be in groups of more than 10. Right? Do not go to bars. Do not go to restaurants. For me, is like if you want people not to go out, you might as well just close the restaurants and bars or make it only takeout like they do here in Malaysia, right? But they're like just saying, hey guys, don't do it, which is kind of ridiculous, right? So I'm glad here in Malaysia things are getting really, really quiet. And just to let you know, it's like in the morning when I usually take a drive to church, it's packed. Right? Because it's in the morning, like 8:30, 9 a.m. when the traffic is the worst. I'm going to tell you, I think I could count every car on the road today. Everyone's working at home. Everyone's kind of relaxed and chill. Very grateful the government said that there's more than enough food because, like I said, from Monday, it was nuts. No toilet paper. I'm so glad that, I'm hoping they're restocking their toilet paper. And one other good thing about here is all the restaurants and like food and beverages open, but only for takeout. So one cool thing is all the like the Grab Food, Food Panda, all those services of delivering food to your door. They're supposed they got to be so busy that you're going to be waiting 2 to 3 hours just to get your lunch. You better order your lunch at 9 a.m. because it's going to be so crazy, right? Now, one big topic when it comes to the coronavirus, one big topic that a lot of people are talking about right now is this word called herd immunity. Herd immunity. And the reason it came up is because the UK tried to do this. So what they did was they said, okay, everyone just pretend like there's no coronavirus and just live your life and do what you need to do. Okay? And what they did was it was only for people under 70, I believe. It's 60 or 70. Everyone over 60 or 70 has to stay at home, but the rest of the crowd just go out and do what you normally do. So now you think to yourself, like, what the heck kind of method is this? And it's actually a method that Denmark is actually using right now. And the whole point of it is herd immunity is something that's supposed to happen in order for us to get over a certain virus. Let me give you an example, okay? So, like, if for those of you on YouTube, there's going to be kind of a picture I'm going to show you. And this picture is the very top person is like that one person gets infected. And what happens is, let's just say that for every one infection, on average, you're infecting 2 people. So that one person at the very top affects 2, those people affect 2, and those 2 affect 2 more, right? So this is where there becomes like this big outbreak. Because one person is affecting 2, and then 2, and then 2, and then 2, right? So what herd immunity is what you do is the very first method, which is probably the easiest and the best one, is when you have a vaccination, right? Vaccines, and we all know what a vaccine is, right? So for what a vaccine does is they put a vaccine in you, and then 2 things that happen is, number one is you can't catch it. So basically, even if someone around you has it, you can't catch it. So you kind of break that, you break the cycle, because not only do you not catch it, but you can't give it to other people. So what happens here is this. So a vaccine has to hit enough people for it to work, which means if enough people are immune to the virus, then it can't spread very much. So let me give you an example. So I'll show you what another chart looks like, okay? I'll give you another example here is, let's say the chart you're looking at right now is one person is always giving it to 2, and then those 2 people give to 2 more each, and then those 4 give to 2 more each, right? What happens is, if you look at the very top left corner, that number 2 means how many people are infected, okay? Now, if the rate of spreading is only 2, then all you need to do is to vaccinate 50% of the people, right? Because what happens is this. If you vaccinate 50%, this is what happens. And just look at this chart is, of the 2 people, only 1 gets infected. And then of that person, only 1 gets infected. So if you look at the difference, it's huge, right? The difference is really, really huge, right? Because think about it. This one is infecting, like, how many people altogether? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14 people just from that chart we're looking at, right? That's 14 people. But if you vaccinate half the people, what happens is only 4 are going to get the disease, that virus, right? So this herd immunity means if enough people are immune to it, what's going to happen? It just basically means that if enough people are immune to it, then it's not going to affect everyone. The cycle is constantly going to be broken. Now, the problem is this is very simplified because it's only 2. One person is affecting 2 people, right? The problem is when the disease rate is higher. Like, for instance, let's say the number is 3. So for every person, 3 people are infected, which means that the vaccination has to be how many people have to be vaccinated? 2 out of the 3, right? So basically 66% of the people have to be vaccinated in order for it to work properly. So the math is basically it has to always come down to you infecting only 1 person. So basically it's like this. If the number is, let's say, 10, then 9 people have to be vaccinated. So there's only 1 person you can affect. Does that make sense? So whatever the number is, you want to bring the number down to 1, right? So if the number is 2, you just have to get 50%, and then only one person is going to catch it from you, right? And then only 1 person from there, 1 person from there. If the number is 2,000, then you need to vaccinate 1,999 of 2,000, right? Which is crazy, right? Because how are you going to get, that many people to get vaccinated? Now, this is just kind of what you call the vaccination process. Okay, that's the vaccination process. Now, the problem we have right now is there are not enough, there isn't a vaccine. And if you're really wondering how long it takes to make a vaccine, they say it takes about a year to a year and a half before a vaccine can properly be tested and made on human beings. So that means that they're trying to make it right now, and it's only been like a month and a bit, which means that we still have anywhere from like 11 to 17 months left before there's a vaccination. So what's the second way of herd immunity? The second way is basically just enough people have to get the virus. And what happens is human beings, how their system works is once you catch a virus, it builds like this immunity to it so you can't catch it again, right? So what the UK was trying to, but they changed though. What Denmark is doing right now and what UK was trying to do was because this virus is 99% or 97 to 99%, are safe, which means young people, healthy people are all safe, which means anywhere from 1 to 3%. And who are there? They're usually older people, like 60 and above, and also people who already have pre-existing conditions. So basically, if you keep all those people who are really susceptible to it and you keep them inside, and everyone else goes and just starts spreading the virus to each other, and then everyone builds immunity, what happens is that's what herd immunity is. If there are enough people, right, enough people that are immune to it, even when the old people come out, it's not going to spread. Why? Because the majority of the people are immune to it. So it's a very risky thing. Of course, it's risky because you're sending them all out there. They're all going to catch it. And there's one reason why the UK stopped doing it. The UK stopped trying this herd immunity because people were still visiting their grandfathers and their grandmothers and older people. And that's why these people were still dying. And that's why the UK now is going to the same method of flattening the curve, just like every other country. I believe the only country in the world at the moment that is actually trying to this herd immunity out is Denmark at the moment. So Malaysia and Southeast Asia, America, and Europe, they're all working on this social distancing to flatten the curve. And I just saw a news report of there's a doctor in Italy, and Italy is really bad right now. It's like number one, right? You're like looking at like almost 30,000 people that are infected, and like almost, I think, getting close to 3,000 deaths over there. But this doctor was saying that they've reached maximum capacity. Like they don't have enough ICU beds, which means, and what's happening is 200 people a day are recovering and leaving the ICU, but there are more people coming in than there are recovering. And he said that they're already discussing when you don't have enough beds, who do we let die? Like, can you imagine that? Like that's when we were looking at that. When we were actually looking at that chart yesterday, you guys remember that chart that I showed you guys? And in that chart, it was about flattening the curve, right? You guys remember that? Here, I'll put it up right now. The chart about flattening the curve. All right, you guys see it? Oh, no, you can't see it yet. All right, so here, you see this flattening the curve chart, right? And basically, what Italy is going through right now is the red curve. So now they've hit maximum capacity, and now they're going over, and they're literally discussing who gets to die first. Can you imagine if you have to make that decision? That is one of the craziest decisions. Like this doctor didn't seem too happy, and they asked him, "How are things going? Is it getting any better?" And the doctor said, "No, it's just the same, just as bad as last week." So, we really need to pray for Italy. Pray for the doctors. And pray for the politicians to make the right decisions, as Sunseam said in the Wednesday message, so that they can really make the right decisions, right? So, coming off of this coronavirus news, I know it sounds pretty sad and stuff, but it's we have to be informed, right? We really do, and if we're not informed, then we make the wrong decisions. One thing about this week's message that I really want to kind of cut into a little bit more closely is, it's about love this week, right? God's love for us. And There's this one song I really want to play today, and it's an older song, and it's made by I'm gonna highlight this artist later in the future. Well, there's two artists, the singer and the songwriter is from New Zealand. This song's made from Studio 316. Her name is Star in New Zealand, and also the singer is from New Zealand too. Her name is Umpit. I had the pleasure of being with her in the New York Word Church. But the song is called Brain Love, and we have to realize and know that love is something that, because we're physical beings, we think of it in a very physical way. But the one thing I like about this song is when you can love first in the brain, this brain love. Sometimes gave this, this word before. You have to love this brain. You have to have this brain love. You can love for 1,000 years, right? If it's physical love, how long could you really love? Right? You can only love when you're young and you have energy. But after you get old, you can't love that physical love anymore. And what's even greater than this is a love that is far beyond the physical love. And what kind of love is that? It is brain love. So let's listen to this as Umpit sings, and a song that was written and made by Star from New Zealand, Brain Love.
In my mind, there's no limit to loving you. There's no limit to loving you. In my mind, every day, I can live in love with you. I can live in love with you every day. Oh, why do people chase love that runs away? When will they see it's not true? There's a love that's pure, that's worth so much more. When will they see the essence is you? All day, all night, no matter where you are, no matter where you are, all day, all night, everyone in a million different ways, in a million different ways can feel this love. Oh, whether you're young or old, this fire won't grow cold. It's the only love to last forever. Love that could be compared, 6,000 years unshared. Now love becomes
Awesome. So that was Umpit singing Brain Love, and that was created by Star over there in New Zealand. I really hope you enjoyed that song. One of my favorite songs, praise songs, and it just really makes you think deeply more about this love that we're receiving from God. And I'm sure a lot of you heard the Wednesday message yesterday, and this key point that Sunsi kept bringing up was you've got to realize this love of God, how much God loves you. And you kind of get an idea of how Sunsim never forgets. He never forgets this love. And I'm like, if you listen throughout the whole message, what was he saying? He's just talking about the stories of how he was saved. He's talking about the stories. The one that was really moving was, if you think about from his position, being so poor, not like, it was so sad when he said that, right, when he was going to church when he was younger, the thing that he was always concerned and worried about was about himself. Like, what am I going to eat, right? What am I going to do? And can you imagine if you were in that position? And then God says the promise that you will never starve. And like, can you imagine that? Like, how hard would that? To me, that sounds just as hard as God coming down to Noah and telling him there's going to be a flood that's going to flood the entire world, kind of thing. So build this huge ark. Like, can you imagine how crazy that is? To hear like God say that to you, and how hard it would be for you to actually believe that. And that's something that I was thinking about, like, wow. But when Sunsim was talking about all his old stories about how much God saved him and such, it actually did remind me a lot. Well, two things it reminded me of. Number one, it made me super thankful of how God loved me because of how God took care of my mom's generation. It was a few years back. I was talking to my uncle, and my mom has three brothers, and they all live together in Gongju. Gongju is like an area. Well, like I talked about yesterday. It's the place where Sunsim's grandfather was, and then from there he moved to the Wonmyeongdong area, right? And there in Gongju, my grandfather had a church, but my uncle was saying they were so poor. They were like scrounging around for food all the time. So he told me this one story. It was just so moving because I thought about Sunsim the whole time. But he said that, one time we were just so hungry, just nothing to eat. So I was like, what you guys do? He says, we heard birds chirping on our roof, like a straw thatched house. And I was like, oh no. And he's like, yeah. And we looked up and we went up to the roof, and there was a nest of sparrow, like baby sparrows, like baby birds. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he says, yeah, so we took the baby birds and we ate them. I'm like, what? Like, I can't even imagine, like, obviously didn't eat them like raw, okay, they're not animals, right? But they obviously cooked them or whatever it is. But can you imagine being so hungry that you hear birds chirping and you go to the roof, you find baby sparrows and you eat them? I couldn't believe the story my uncle gave. I was so appreciative. I was so thankful to my parents, thankful to my family, and of course it made me really think about God, how much he loved my parents and loved my family. And man, like, even for me, it makes my heart well up a bit that it was that poor before, and to think that God was thinking of me while he was taking care of my parents and thinking of me since the time my grandfather was something. It makes me very grateful all the time. And it also reminds me of one more story where God really saved my life. And a lot of you have heard this story before as I give these testimonies. Is the time I went to go missionize in South Africa, and we get robbed at gunpoint inside the church. Robbed at gunpoint. It's like, and for me, it was so surreal, and it was so unreal. It was so like, is this really happening? And the person's pointing the gun at me, and I was just like, is this really happening? And so grateful to God that not a single person got hurt. But the thing that was even more crazier for me was later we see, like, in the newspaper where there's robberies in our area, And there was these two stories in the newspaper, and one was robbers came in and shot, like there's four daughters and a father, and they just shot and killed the father in front of the four daughters. And another time they went to rob, and basically they shot this high schooler with her dad, and the dad died, but the daughter was the daughter was paralyzed. And at that moment, I realized even more the blessing of how much God's really protected us. That, if you heard the full story, we actually fought with the robbers. We literally fought with them, and none of us got hurt. And they ran out, but they still took our stuff, but they ran out, but we kept our lives. But we hear these stories in the area that we're in, and they weren't fighting, and still they got shot and they died. So for me, remembering these stories of how the Lord really God just took care of me through the most darkest and the times that I just could have died at that moment. I really encourage you guys too to think about those stories. Think about the stories of how God really saved you. Maybe it might not be death. It could be like you almost got hit by a car while you're riding a bike, or there's just so many different types of stories that are out there that if you think back to what God has done for you, you will start to kind of feel that love from God again. So I hope that everyone just really think about those old stories that you have with God, and give glory and give thanksgiving to God for all those times. There's one final song I want to play today, and also I have so many favorite songs, right? And those of you know this song. It's called My Life in English, right? It's called My Life in English, but in Korean it's called Na, which is me, and I'm not sure what it is in Chinese. In Chinese, what would it be? It would be like Na would be like wo, right? Or in Cantonese it'd be ngo, right? I don't know how you'd call it, because that sounds kind of weird just to call a song like, hey, what's the song called? Wo, right? So this song is called My Life, and it's kind like it's so inspiring because it's coming from like Sunseem's perspective, right? I am more than words, I am action. And Sunseem talked about it. He said, my philosophy is reality, my philosophy is action, right? And there's no song that describes this better than this song. Na, My Life, Wo, or Ngo, whatever you'd like. So let's listen.
조각배에 천년 꿈을 어여싣고 나는 날마다 희망으로 노져간다. 나는 말보다 실천이다. 나는 말보다 실천이다. 작지만 다 이해되고 눈은 작지만 이 세상 저 세상 다 꿰뚫어 본다. 손과 발은 철장 같아서 내 인생에 쓰고도 남는다. 몸 가지고 나를 위해 가정 위해 민족 위해 세계 위해 전주 위해 미련도 없이 쓰고 가련다. 희망으로 노져간다. 나는 말보다 실천이다. 나는 말보다 실천이다. 몸은 작지만 다 이해되고 눈은 작지만 이 세상 저 세상 다 꿰뚫어 본다. 손과 발을 철장 같아서 내 인생에 쓰고도 남는다. 이 몸 가지고 나를 위해 가정 위해 민족 위해 세계 위해 전주 위해 미련도 없이 쓰고 가련다. 이 몸 가지고 나를 위해 가정 위해 민족 위해 세계 위해 전주 위해 미련도 없이 쓰고 가련다. 미련도 없이 쓰고 가련다. 미련도 없이 쓰고 가련다.
And that was My Life, and sung by Pastor Shin Chung Ho. Or actually, now it's Jung Chung Ho. I forgot about that. Once again, just another great song. We have come near to the end of today's podcast. I'm grateful and thankful that you've joined the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. You guys, the support I've received once again, I am so grateful and so thankful. I hope that you guys can leave some comments and some new topics or things that you would love to hear, especially during this lockdown time. We got tons of time. I'm also, some of you might not know, but I'm also thinking about doing some live events. Live, which basically on YouTube, I want to make it live where I can teach some Bible study and people can have question and answer right after too, like quick 20-minute Bible studies where people can just join in and stuff like that too. But thank you once again on SoundCloud and YouTube, and also now on Patreon. I really hope that all of you will have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday, and that we'll be able to meet once again on Friday. You guys are awesome. See you again, and keep on driving.
Gotta go. Gotta let go. And let it happen. And let it happen.
Yeah,
Believe in yourself and believe in somebody.
gotta believe in yourself, cause no one else will.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful.